Oh, what's up? I'm Austin Griffith. Happy Bowtie Friday. I'm here with the Build Guild. We're building stuff. First up is going to be Adam. He's going to be talking about, he's had this NFT project that has been in motion for a long time with the Martian Premier League, mixing aliens and soccer and blockchain, which are, you know, some things I like, some things I don't get into, but whatever, I'm down. So maybe you can hit us up, Adam. I think the most exciting thing are these ongoing games that you guys are playing. I think that that's something that we'd really like to do with the Build Guild with some of our NFT projects. So take it away, Adam. Happy Bowtie Friday.
Sure, great to see everybody. Yeah, let me kick it off. Yeah, I guess maybe I'll give a bit of context. So this has been project that, yeah, it's been in the works, been working on for a little while. There've been kind of a couple of phases to it. It's a pretty like art-led project. We've got an incredible artist working on it, a guy called Rupert. It's with a couple of folks who I've known for a long time, and there's sort of an initial like NFT collection, which we think look kind of cool. It's kind of a retro aesthetic, but then like obviously the larger thing, the stuff we've been working on is really the games and the world that we're trying to build on Mars. And so, yeah, probably showing you rather than telling you is a better means. This is the Martian Premier League, MartianPremierLeague.com. You got these sort of furry dudes. He's like smiley little Martian. He's born to cuddle. It's this sort of, yeah, 10K, I guess, collection of a mixture of humans and Martians. There's this like central protagonist, this like serious looking dude called Professor Gaffer, who's the person who sort of transported everyone from Earth to Mars, or all the sort of approximately 9,000 people, 1,000 Martians to Mars. So we've got these pretty cool looking characters, which, yeah, with a range of sort of hairstyles. Sadly, there's no one who's got, like, none of them have got precisely my hair. But that was sort of like phase one, and we built a sort of community of like a really interesting mix of folks who are interested in the art. Some people are interested in the soccer aspect of the sort of football management game. It's like everyone's gone from Earth to Mars to play football. Some folks who are, like, I guess, interested in NFTs. In general, some people are more into the Web3 gaming, so it's a real mixture of people. And so, like, I guess the first thing we did after the initial sort of mint was something that's actually just ended literally this week, called the boot camp. So the boot camp takes place on Mars. The idea is that it gives everyone a bit of time to acclimatize, get to grips with the new world. It gives us an excuse to build this cool map, which is kind of fun as like a place to explore, see the different venues. And I guess around like 8 weeks ago, all of these venues were kind of locked, and like over time we started to unlock these venues, and it's been super cool. Working with a couple of folks from sort of past lives, a couple of guys from the Build Guild. So Alex and Bliss have been pitching in on different bits of this. So it's been fun, but also quite a lot of different things to keep track of. So I guess to start with, you sort of come here, you've got your MyMPL. These things aren't going to load up nicely. That's good. But sort of phase one was a kind of essentially fetching taking your L1 characters, because there's the classic thing of minted on mainnet, and then actually playing a game on mainnet isn't going to be fun for anyone because of recently gas costs have been much cheaper, but we essentially bridged everyone over to Polygon, and let folks sort of customize their players. So the first phase was essentially you transported your NFT, which was just this image. You picked sort of a bunch of skills for them. There was like a skill selection phase. You picked a team for them, a kit. So you can see these folks are both on the red team, but they've got different kits. And so that's all like on-chain metadata, which we're then able to like later use in the game. In the games, and this is actually like a dynamically rendering SVG based on information in the smart contract. So the bootcamp progress is tracking essentially the number of challenges that people completed, and then to go to the games themselves, we can go, I guess, to the bootcamp statue. So we erected this week. It's this sort of ferret in a red scarf, and just to give, I guess, everyone a sense of the games. If you click, you get the confetti. I mean, that's good stuff. Essentially, we're tracking for the different teams. So they're around sort of I guess 5,000 NFTs we're playing, which is kind of cool out of the full collection. And so between red team down to black, yellow and green teams, And essentially there are these 6 challenges. So the first is that the first couple were super simple, essentially like on-chain dice rolls with different odds depending on your player's characteristics. And so you can see essentially the number of people who rolled the dice. You had a choice to take a sort of riskier play to get a higher reward, but then you might get nothing at all. So you can see it's sort of 75% people went risky that time, 68% of them won. The number of sort of tokens that they won, so it's then all like an in-game economy type thing, and the average like readies per player. That was week 1 and 2 were sort of functionally the same, just with like different boosts and different base odds. You can see that in round, like in game 2, the sort of base odds were a bit more in favor of playing it safe, and so you can see that fewer people played it risky in the second round. People probably made a couple more readies. I think people quite enjoyed being risky in week 1, but then they were like, oh no, actually let's try and get the tokens in week 2. And then the next game was a penalty shootout game, which is kind of fun. So essentially 5 rounds. And you got to essentially shoot left, down the middle, or to the right. And then there was like a chain link powered like on-chain randomness thing, which essentially decided which way the keeper went. And if you went the same way as the keeper, then you saved your penalty and you were out of the next round. And essentially if you saved or you missed the goal, then you got no rewards at all. So it's this kind of thing where people could choose to keep playing to get more and more rewards, but they might lose it all. So you can see that many fewer people won that. Lots of people went left and the gaffer went left. The keeper went left on the first time. And so that was less profitable in general. Keepy Uppy one was again like more of a dice roll type thing, just with many like multiple rounds, and that was actually a really lucrative one if you played it. And then these last 2, so Animal Instincts was essentially a prisoner's dilemma type game. So we paired. This was one where rather than these 3 challenges were like on-chain randomness. You're just sort of playing against the chain. This one, you're like everyone was playing against the same keeper, so that was a kind of many versus one type dynamic. This one was then head to head, so we were pairing players up against each other, and essentially you had the like classic prisoner's dilemma. You had the choice to be nice, or you had the choice to sort of cooperate and sort of split the rewards. And so you can see that 36% of people were not nice. Most people were nice to each other. But it's quite interesting to see the different dynamics playing out within the community. And then the last one was just a sort of simple wager of some of the in-game tokens on a football game in the first match of the season this year in the Premier League. And so this was a kind of simple one, just like really an Oracle problem. And we were the Oracle, so it was pretty simple. But in the end, actually the gaffer made money because people went with the long odds, and the expected result happened. So that's kind of all come out this week in terms of this like summary of it. Like we've got the games have all sort of paused now because they were kind of on a weekly cadence. But you can see, say, for my prisoner's dilemma, in this one case, this was me, my opponent and I, we both passed in this case, so we split 50 tokens each. In this one, I cooperated and I got nutmegged by my opponent. And so, yeah, it's kind of fun on-chain dynamics. We had to use like a load of different tech stuff to try and make the user experience good. So that's using like Gelato, that's using Chainlink. It's been a fun
How did you pair people up? That's my question. It's like for the 1v1s, when you're doing pairing on chain, that's a hard thing to do. You have to create like a waiting room and pair people up based on their different stats, or how'd that work?
Yes, so the kind of challenge there was that some people have multiple tokens. We've got some people who've got like loads of them. We didn't want people to be matched up against themselves. So we couldn't. So the first thing we kind of did was essentially to have 2 queues, so to put people in 2 queues, and if we saw the same queue like signing up multiple times, we would always put them in the same side of the queue. So we did that for like 24 hours, 48 hours of like people could sign up and there was no matching. And then essentially we matched everyone between the queues. So we essentially iterated through one
on-chain queues on Polygon.
Yeah, 2 on-chain queues, and essentially iterated through one, and like basically popped the front of this queue, found a random one from the other queue, and then replaced that one from the other queue with the back of that queue. So the queues kind of get progressively shorter.
And the user experience is you randomly get paired and then you have some certain amount of time to make a move before you lose.
Yes, and then that was the other thing, was because this is prisoner's dilemma, like we didn't want it to be so like if I'd chosen to pass here on chain, this guy could have basically seen that I chose to pass and just nutmeg me, right? So this is one where we introduced, I guess, a bit more trust. That was one of the other things through the games, was the amount of trust in the game. And so this one, I had to be like, we were storing the signatures off chain, and then we brought them on chain. So essentially, people could verify that they'd made the choice because they'd signed the messages, and we can bring on a message that someone hadn't signed, but we like kept that off chain so we could have that sort of secrecy between the things. And so that's, yes, that was again another challenge.
So you paired them up with queues. You tried to keep the same address and the same queue so they never end up against each other. Yeah. And then you would match people between the queues. There would be some kind of timeout period to make a move. And your move would be a signed message that just goes onto the server. And then once you have both moves, you publish, you use Gelato or something, or you use your own server and you publish it. Pretty cool, man.
Yeah, and there are actually some gotchas in there. If I had this thing where, like, bring the signatures on chain, where it seemed like certain signatures were introducing additional stuff into the
right.
So had to do some. There was some quite interesting stuff that had to be done to unpick some of those signatures and make it work. But yeah, it was
like
cool.
checksumming or something, right? What was it? I remember you were saying something about it, but I can't remember exactly what it was. Is it checksumming?
It was just like an additional piece of data in some of the signatures, which then meant when you did the on-chain verification,
you needed that.
Like recovery, you had to strip it out actually before you put it on chain, because it would say like it was the wrong length of data.
Interesting. Oh, right. It was the VRF, like the V and the VRF, like the version of the signature or something. Yeah, you had to put that. Yeah, awesome stuff, man. Very cool. This is a much more polished project than we usually show off on Bowtie Friday. Usually Bowtie Friday has lots of shitty prototypes. So props to Adam for having something that has gone pro and then continuing to use that thing that has gone pro in these iteration loops, testing these game mechanics on chain. Very cool stuff. The upgrade feature is a little weird too. So did they actually upgrade their piece, or did you leave their piece on mainnet and then mint them one on Polygon? What's the relationship between the mainnet piece and the Polygon piece?
Yes, that's actually an interesting, I think we got an interesting pattern there. We're using a custom bridge between mainnet and Polygon. And so
you guys built your own bridge to Polygon.
So not our own bridge, but we're using the like custom message bridge rather than the standard NFT.
The AMB.
So we're basically so the mainnet NFTs stay exactly where they are, but you basically just pass a message across, and that's kind of nice because that means that you actually like don't have to use it, like store anything on mainnet. You don't actually like do any storage of data on mainnet, which if you're bridging like 100 NFTs is like meaningful cache. Basically you pass the message across, and then you essentially mint, and so then that's cool because like you can't mint multiple times because the ERC20 standard does 721 like takes care of that stops you bridging multiple times, because it's the same like token ID. So that was like custom, a custom bridge where you basically send a message across to say give me this token.
We got to move on. Like we're spending too much time on this. I got to go to Carlos next. But the whole like, so, okay, real quick though, if someone has it on mainnet and they like sell it on mainnet and then quickly try to make some transactions on Polygon to equip their user, there's some kind of state transfer happening there of who owns what, or is there a weird race condition you can get into there?
The L1 and L2 are completely separate. Once they're minted. So that it was always a thing that like there was no like tight coupling between the two.
Okay.
The L2s are like throwaways for the game.
Okay. Cool. All right. Great build. Awesome build, Adam. Great seeing it.
If folks want to come build stuff, we are looking for like people who like to build
it's
games.
Not built with scaffold-eth though, is it? Maybe an early version. No,
the contracts and the subgraph which powers the whole front end is all still scaffold-eth, and like my scaffold-eth is still deploying.
So there is an ugly scaffold-eth prototype there somewhere, just used for mostly admin stuff.
The front side, like I use the contract component, like the greatest component.
Yep. Oh, the contract component is so solid. Yeah.
So that's still, I guess that's the Web3 development one, and then there's like a React app.
I think what Carlos has to show off kind of shows off the next iteration of the contract component and putting it into an app. You wanna take it away, Carlos?
Yeah,
I usually
sure.
give you a good introduction, but I don't know. I think you're maybe showing off two different things, and I don't know exactly what you're showing off. So
Yeah, that's
it'll be
fine.
all
That's
you
fine.
for the introduction.
Yeah. Now I feel like we should have left like Adam and his beautiful stuff for the end, because now everything is going to look shitty, like prototype, but that's fine. Like, the bar is like super high right now, but it's fine. I'll do my best. And also, it's good to see like the regulars here, but also it's good to see like the new faces. I'm happy to see like new faces here. So let me share my screen. Okay, is it working? Yeah.
We've got it. ABI Ninja.
ABI Ninja, yeah. So one of the things that I want to show is the I think this is like the third time that I'm presenting ABI Ninja on Multi Friday, which is weird because usually here we just like throw our prototypes and then move on to into the next thing. But in this case, that we are like trying to build like something like more like product-like or more professional, I think this would be normal, right? Like presenting like the same stuff like 3 times in a row. So
at this point, the spaghetti has stuck on the wall a couple times and we pulled it off and rearranged it and we're trying again, right? Yeah, I think it's common to see some prototypes make recurring appearances here as we go pro with some of them. And
for some context, like this is how it looked like the contract component, and this is how it actually looks on the, like the scaffold-eth contract component. This is like ABI Ninja version number 1. This was like last Multi Friday, this was like number 2. And today I'm going to show you like the 3rd iteration, which I've been like working a lot on the UI and most on the UX side of things. And I'm always like thinking about like making and put like new features, but sometimes I have to hold me back and let's work on the UI and the UX, which is like kind of the most important thing for the people to use the product, and not that the fancy things that I want to build. So yeah, let me show how it looks right now. Let's grab like this, the die contract on mainnet. And okay, so this is how it looks right now. I think it looks like way nicer, the UI, but also the UX. Like for example, on the left, we have like this like sidebar navigation. I spent like I think too much time like working like this little this little SVG. Like if I scroll down, you can see like the SVG on the left is like moving. It's like like telling you what is visible on the screen, which I don't know if it is that useful, but I spent like too many hours like building that little thing. Like, it's fine.
It's like using a lot of CPU power on your computer too, like your audio chops as you scroll. I don't know what that magic bar is that's showing where it's using 98% CPU to calculate where that bar goes in the list.
I don't think so. I think it's just my computer, but yeah, I mean, so yeah, like a lot of good improvements here. I think like the navigation here, you have like all the methods of the contract, and here on the right you have like all the like the variables of the contract that is not going to change. You don't have to interact with it, and like there are like little things. For example, I don't know. Let's try to put it have like ENS resolution here also, and like the little like spinners, things like that. They are like little like small things, but I think it kind of like make a difference, when you are like using it. And I actually like, I've been using this a lot. And then if I try to switch to like the contract, like scaffold-eth version, you really can tell the difference, like because you have like way more cues here, like if I hit, here, oh man, my computer is, I guess is the SVG bar. No, I don't think so. My computer is like, or maybe it's MetaMask. Like, if you, I don't know, just want to refresh this variable, you see like the little spinner there, or, little things like that. So I don't know how far I'm going to like keep going with this UI UX thing, but I think I want to add like a couple of features. One of them is like being able to share a URL with a contract already loaded, and maybe you can even like, like only set up like 2 methods and then share this with someone. And the other feature would be to having like a like a search autocomplete contract searcher here. So maybe you can say you can search like for die, and then you will get like the die contract, and you don't have to like paste the ABI or paste the Etherscan.
The link pasting is really like another innovation that you've added to this too. I use the Etherscan link pasting all the time. It's so nice.
Yeah. And I don't know, like the Etherscan is like with contract or with contract is not really nice. I don't know. It's like they have like these drop downs. So I think that we are like doing better than Etherscan. You know, like it's better than this. I think our UI right now. So I don't know. Also, I'm going to paste the link of this. This is like on Delify. I would love to people if they start like testing it and giving me some like user feedback, you know, and we can like keep improving this.
Seems like it's ready to go to ABI.Ninja though, right? Don't you think
Yeah,
this is about ready to go to the main domain? We should do
Yeah.
that. Maybe not today, but maybe Monday we should get that deployed. I have the domain. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is like a lot of room for improvement in a lot of senses, but we can like, you know, start with this and keep iterating.
Another piece of taking projects pro is making sure they have their own repo. We've just like pulled out Punk Wallet into its own repo. Let's make sure we have an ABI Ninja repo as part of scaffold-eth somewhere, or maybe even in your GitHub, it doesn't matter, but let's get an ABI Ninja repo where people can put in issues. Let's get it deployed to ABI.Ninja. Let's start getting some user feedback on it. And just like be tweeting about it, right? Like it's a common thing that people need. People go to Etherscan and do this, and the Etherscan interface is good because it's the best we had before, but this should be a lot better and a lot easier. We just need to meme it into existence. And who knows if ABI.Ninja is the right design here. If someone else has a better idea for a branding for this, holler at us. But so far, ABI Ninja was the funniest we could come up with so far. Yeah. Great build, Carlos. I feel like maybe you had a second thing to show off. Are you doing two at once or just one?
Yeah, it's like one little thing that I did like with the autograder. Yeah, so on SpeedRunEthereum, like the first 3 contracts, like we are using like an autograder to grade like people's submissions, right? Because we have like more than 2,000 users, 2,000 builders here. So like grading those like manually would be like a lot of work. So we implemented like this SpeedRun grader. So whenever someone submits like the the URL and the contract URL here, and we are like running this autograder. So for example, this person, you can see here that they have submitted like these 2 challenges, and if you see the comment, you will see that all of this is like parsed by the autograder, and we don't have to do anything here. So like a few weeks ago, SAC created like this new challenge, which is like really cool, called the dice game. And we were having like some issues to use the autograder with this, because this autograder is actually making requests to the testnet, right? See, if this person has submitted the challenge to Rinkeby, like we have like this autograder script that is going to make, it's going to mint an NFT or whatever on the testnet. And that for the dice game is not really good, because on the dice game we have to wait for for a few conditions to happen, to test when the roll is good, and it can take like several minutes, right? So I was like, why don't we, instead of like sending real testnet transactions, why don't we use the Etherscan API and we grab the contract code, we parse it and we store it locally, and then we run the test into the hard hat network. And this is what I did. I mean, it's not, I think it's almost there, like 90%. And yeah, let me show you. For example, well, this is like the main endpoint of the grader API. And what it's doing is fetching the Etherscan, from Etherscan the contract, which is, I mean, it was a little funky, not sure why, but on the response of the API, you have like this source code property. And in some cases, it returns like a string, which is like the full contract when you have like a flattened contract. And in other cases, they return like a JSON when they have the contract split.
An almost valid JSON.
Yeah, that's the thing. That is the thing. That it's not a valid JSON. So if you try to do like a JSON parse of that, it's going to give you like an error because it's not a valid. Like they included like some extra, like curly braces at the beginning. Why? I don't know, but like this is working so far. So then you like parse the source, And what I'm doing is like saving, the contract to the, on the contracts folder on hardhat on the address.sol. And then what you have to do is a little change on the test on every challenge, that before we have to connect to the external contract, but right now it's not an external contract anymore. But when we are running like an external contract test, we are passing this as a mvar. And the contract artifact, usually you can say just like your collectible, right? And that will go to the contract folder and it will parse for you. But in this case, we are going to have like a lot of contracts from people. So what you have to do is specify like the full like namespace, like contracts, and then like the contract address.sol, and then colon the contract name. And let's do like a quick test. For example, this would be like a request that you can make to the grader server, where you are testing for the challenge 0, which is on Rinkeby, and is on this address. So if I open this and I run this this request, first it's going to pull the contract from Rinkeby. Oh yeah, first I need to start the server. Right. This should be good. Okay. So we should see like the contract here in a bit. Maybe not. Maybe my computer.
So you have a plugin here on this .http file that allows you to kind of have a text file that lists out what your post is going to be, and then it uses some plugin to like make that post request from the text file. Is that what's happening there? That's a nice little thing.
This is like building on Ethereum. Yeah.
Cool.
And here you can see the contract, the full contract like pulled from Rinkeby. And here like we should see like the response, which is like super slow right now because I don't know, it's really hot in Barcelona. I think my computer is going to die at some point. But yeah, like here, like you should see. Oh, you see, like the JSON response here. Like success true, and this is like the like the autograder feedback, which I mean doesn't look really good here, but it will look like something like this on the SpeedRunEthereum. Yeah, so that's it. I mean, awesome. I think I'm going to do like some like backtracking test to test with the previous submitted challenges and see if it works. And then I think next week it should be good to deploy this and use this autograder, which is going to be like faster. And also we are going to save like a lot of like testnet ETH, right?
Yeah, we got lots to spare, but that's true. A lot of time saved here with testing too. And it allows us to do different like cooler tests and cooler challenges in the future also. Awesome. Great work, Carlos. Thank you for doing that. I think I still owe you. I think I need to get that SpeedRunGuidl box migrated to a new one. I just have been in the weeds recently, but soon I need to do that. Awesome. I think El Scorpion is up next. I forgot what you're even presenting, but I remember that you're here to present something, so I'm excited. Go ahead.
It's okay. It's okay. Thank you, everyone. Here, you can call me Leo also. That's the L from El Scorpion. And I'm also Sanchez, as Carlos. That's the second name. Okay. This is my first build after the SpeedRunEthereum, and I wanted to deep dive in smart contracts wallets and all the bot stuff, and also recently I have checked Luxo and their standard ERC 725 with CJ and Naim. It's a great standard. So I'm deep diving in that stuff. So that's what I'm going to present right now, the smart contract.
Let me make sure I understand that. So Luxo, is that who you're talking about? Like LUKSO?
Yeah, that Luxo
is not using the ERC20 standard. They're using a different token standard.
No, yes, they have another standard, that token standard, and another NFT standard also. Yeah.
But the guy who started Luxo is the same guy who made the ERC20 standard, and why we have to do that approve pattern on all the smart contracts. That's hilarious that they're using a different token standard in their own product.
Yeah,
but they have their own chain though and everything, right? Yeah. Okay. Anyways, just double checking on that to make sure I heard it right. You got it.
let me share my screen. So this is the build. It's the smart contract wallet factory with social recovery. The basis is based on a Vitalik Buterin post, why we need a wide adoption of social recovery wallets. And he explained all the money that has been lost to various seed phrases, lost, etc. And he proposes an implementation with guardians. He said that a guardian can be like another from your wallet and a service that you can pay. And I implemented the simple version here, okay, with the guardians, and I'll show it to you. I'll show it to you. I open here to make it as easy as possible. Okay, that's the great thing about scaffold-eth. You can build these prototypes very fast, very easily. I have here like 3-4 accounts. Okay, this will be the main one that's gonna create this smart contract wallet with social recovery. Okay,
this is what my desktop looks like all the time. I want to say this, like we gotta like crummy scaffold-eth UI, but like 3 different browsers and 4 different identities, and I'm moving them around. This is my desktop looks like this all the time, so I can definitely relate to this. I feel at home.
Perfect. So okay, I'm gonna create here the smart contract wallet, and I'm gonna grab these 2 as the guardians. Okay, so let me add this. Sorry. Oh, what happened here? Presentation bug. Create. Okay. This is add because I put it smaller. I didn't see that sign. Okay. This should be at least 3 guardians. But for the presentation, I'll do 2, and this should be enforced in the contract. But here I'm gonna put it like 2 to test. Okay, so I'm gonna create here the guardians. Okay, so we can see here is the owner of the wallet that is active. I deposited $100. And we see the 2 guardians, okay? And that's the most difficult part for me, doing this UI, UX stuff. So from the owner perspective, I can see the hashes because we don't store plain text addresses. We do the KCAC 256, and we store those. And here I can submit, for example, if some of the guardians lost their key, or I want to remove someone, I can do it here. I can queue someone for removal, for example, this one, okay, and I can queue here this one. Also, from the guardian perspective, we can see, for example, here we can initiate a recovery for our owner. Okay, so we propose a new wallet address. And let me show you this. Okay,
so this would be in the case of I have my smart contract wallet. I've been using it to store some things, and then I lost my main account. Is that right? Okay. Yeah. So I've lost my phone goes in the toilet, but I have all this money over here in the smart contract, and then I have these guardians that can unlock it for me. Is that the scenario?
Cool. Yeah, that's a scenario. Let's do this. Okay. So I lost my key, and I got this new account, okay? So I can call my friends and my guardians, and for example, this one, to initiate the recovery. Okay, so let me execute here.
And your friends can't steal any money. The only functionality they have in this wallet is to try to initiate some kind of recovery. And if you still have the main wallet, you can probably cancel the recovery. But if you don't have that main wallet, it allows you to recover over to some new wallet using your guardians.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yes, yeah. You can see here the status is in recovery mode because someone initiated the recovery. And also here I can, let me see. Oh, I didn't implement that. Oh, Cancel recovery. Okay, I can cancel recovery here. Okay, yeah, we can cancel if someone started
Basically, if like one
without
of your
permission.
friends starts griefing you and starts trying
Yeah.
to recover when you don't want them, you would
Yes.
cancel the recovery, and you would probably remove them as a guardian and find a better friend.
Yes, that's
Right.
right. That's right. So here I'm the other guardian, okay, and he saw that someone initiated the recovery, and also put the same address, this one, okay, here, and execute. Oh, okay, that because it's initiated, okay, I can support. I need to support the recovery because it was already initiated. So here I can support it and go through, and this is the new owner address. If I put here, I lost, okay, sorry. Oh, here.
There's some interesting little mechanics here. So it's not just someone initiates the recovery, and then after some amount of time of no one canceling it, the recovery happens. In this case, a second guardian is allowed to support the recovery. And does that speed it up, or does it just take multiple guardians to make it go through? What's the what's the mechanic there?
So, sorry. I little nervous here, so I forgot to execute the recovery.
You're doing great.
Okay.
You're doing great. This is awesome.
Okay. Here I execute the recovery, and that's the final step. Okay. And right now it's here. Okay. And if okay, that's not the owner anymore. So here is the new owner. Okay. Also, here we can, for example, if someone votes another address, we can reset the round. Okay, because this is the first round, and it can go through multiple rounds. Okay, until there's a consensus and the appropriate owner is selected. Okay. Also, if I'm a guardian, I can transfer my guardianship. Okay, that's optional if you want to implement that. And also, I did this at last time. For example, if I die, okay, or the owner dies of the smart contract wallet, people can rebuild their identity, and they submit their address and also an email, so they can put each other in contact to give the wallet to someone else. Okay, so that's it. That's the
Very cool.
deal.
Very cool. That's okay. So I still have the question of,
okay.
So the recovery wallet that I've built before is basically just any guardian can initiate it, and it goes for some time period to allow the current owner to cancel it. And if the current owner doesn't cancel it, then after some time period, it does roll over and send to some new address. But in this case, you've got the timing rounds, but you've got multiple supporters of the like multiple guardians that could be supporters. What's the mechanic there? Is it a vote? Is it time based? Is it both? Like what happens?
It is both. It's not time based. Okay. And anyone can initiate. After it's initiated, you can only support it. Okay. And if the majority, okay, of the required guardians support the same address, it should put the new owner wallet address. Okay, that will be it. Okay.
So instead of being a multi-sig, it's like it's your smart contract wallet, but then there's a multi-sig of guardians. And if enough of the guardians all sign off on it, then it reverts to some other address. That's really cool. Yes. I don't think I've ever seen this model before. That's a cool design.
Yes. I also, when I was looking this week to the Luxo documentation, they're implementing the same basic contract, but they also adding another optional step, that you have a secret as the owner, and if you this execute recovery, they ask you for that secret, and if that secret match, then it's transfer the ownership. Okay, so they are creating that standard right now, I think.
Very cool. Very interesting. I love to see, like, this is one of the big major gotchas of Ethereum, right? Is if you lose your seed phrase, you're gone forever. So we want to have smart contracts, and we got to figure out account abstraction. And there's some EIPs in the pipeline, but seeing people build smart contract wallets with good user experience for someone who could possibly lose their key is always exciting to me, and exciting to Vitalik too, right? Like, this is something that he talks about a lot too. So good builds. Keep experimenting with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to implement bolts next. So bolt is the next step, because if you someone hacks the key, they have total control. But with bolts implementation, we can, for example, put whitelisting. We can put time blocks for or a maximum withdrawal limit. Okay, so there are a lot of stuff that's built around bolts. Okay, so that I think
that makes sense.
Agree that.
Just the idea of the guardian system being the multisig versus the multisig being your addresses. You just have a smart contract wallet, and then you basically have a multisig that is the guardian of that. And if enough people sign off or vote for it, then it recovers. Very cool build. Keep experimenting in this area. I love seeing you would admit you spent more time on the front end, even though it doesn't look great yet. You still spend more time just making this front end than you did on the smart contracts, probably.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
This is the bane of our existence as a full stack blockchain developer.
Okay,
Awesome work, Leo. Great build. So up next is Naim, who has been working on multisig.lol, and it's actually kind of a descendant of this same branch. I think, so as you go through the speed run, one of the last challenges is to build a multisig wallet and understand how that works. And Leo, you forked some early multisig to make this work, because I recognize the UI. We'll see that same UI a little bit in Naim's demo, because we forked that to eventually make this multisig factory. So this is how the Build Guild works, right? There's someone made like an initial little multisig wallet, and then someone forked that and made a challenge out of that, and then that forked off into multiple different multisig factories, and now we're kind of moving toward products. You're moving toward this kind of social recovery product, and then another fork of it is kind of moving toward a multisig service. So we'll see some of the similar pieces of UI here, and that's what's so cool about all this open source software and all this like very forkable software, is we see lots of weird forks of it. So Naim, if you're up, if you want to show us, share your screen and give us a tour of your work on multisig.lol.
Yes, let me share my screen. Yeah, is my screen visible?
We've got it. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, on this multi-sig, right? I have taken the UI little bit and all this thing, right, to just improve and all this thing. But the main feature, right, from like the last 2-3 months, we have like I'm working on this. It's my first project for BuidlGuidl and all this thing, right? When I started and all this thing, yeah. So the main thing here, right, it's like a create to implementation. We can deploy a same contract address on multiple networks and all these things, right? So if I can show you, I have created a default test name of contract here. Okay, so as you can see, the same address here. But if I go to create a same name of address, okay, it will show an error message, right? This wallet name is already exists and you can deploy it. You can't deploy it and all these things. Okay, but if I create another name of wallet and just demo to show demo, right?
It's weird when you typed in test. I don't think it was the same address as we see here. I wonder what you should see in the preview.
Yeah, it's like
you should see
bit
the same address.
space.
We'll see it here when you do demo or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. As you can see, right? Like the new test tool is deployed here, but it's not on another Cohen address and all these things, right? Yeah, it's because I have added some space right there. As you can see, there is similar one, same one address, previous
But
one.
if you do test 2, let's make sure we get that other address that we just got. Yeah. Okay, it's good. Okay, I'm satisfied. Keep going.
Yeah, but if you add any extra space and all this, right, then it will be different. So yeah, it's deployed on here, right? Then I will show you how to deploy like on Cohen network, right? So if I switch to Cohen network, then it will refresh and then it will show deploy test2 to Cohen, right? With the same address and all these things. So if I hit on this, you can just, the name is locked, right? And you can add your funds here.
A little feature request would be, even though the name's locked there, it'd be great if we got a little preview of what the address was going to be, just so as you open it up, you could clearly see it was going to be that same address. I'll put that in the notes though.
Yeah. So yeah, same address will deploy on new network. Yeah, on Cohen network it is deployed here, right? Similar way, we can import multiple different addresses and all this, right? And on last changes, we have added some backward compatibility with previous factory versions and all these things. If I show you, if I switch to mainnet, right, I have deployed the scholarship BuidlGuidl contract here. You see this contract, you can see here, right? All this thing. Yeah. So this is a like basic thing about that what I have implemented on the create to feature and all these things. And other than this, there are some minor adjustment I have done for wallet connects and all these things, other areas, right? Some bug fixing and all this to stabilize this build, some UI tweaks, right? Some UI improvements and all these things. Yeah. Yeah, this is it about
Awesome.
multi-site.
Great build, dude. This is
and
going to turn into a product. We're going to clean this up a little bit, and this is going to be like the fact that it's so easy to deploy a multi-sig across networks to the same address, the nice, clean, simple like UI. Obviously, like it still looks like scaffold-eth, like it needs probably one more iteration from a designer to go pro. But I already use this on a daily basis on multiple networks, and it's so easy to deploy and so easy to just like orchestrate signatures and all the stuff that you need to do from a multi-sig. One thing that you hinted at there was the wallet connect, and this is like everybody who's watching this call or on this should at some point go to multisig.lol and create a multisig on Covan as like one of 2, and then use it to go like swap or use it to buy or build something, or use it to, here's what I do. I put one on mainnet, and then I have like a 2 of 3 on mainnet, and then I use it to go register an ENS address and set it up to point back. You call that set name. There's like a third call, and then all of a sudden your multisig has its own ENS name, and it resolves as like, you know, Austin's multisig.eth, which is a really just like really cool thing. You can set it up to have its own ENS, and then you can set it up to be swapping and doing all sorts of stuff, all from a really like open source forkable multi-sig. So you could imagine that someone could fork this and add in social recovery or something like that, and then it becomes a whole new interesting product, right? So just the 2 products that we saw today would probably take less than a week to put together if we wanted to, which is really cool. And I'm loving all these really neat forks. And this is a key metric of the Build Guild, is what kind of ugly scaffold-eth prototypes we see every Friday. And so yeah, great build name. I use it every day, and we want to see more and more of these kind of prototypes coming through the system. Anything else to share here, Naim?
Yeah, I have another build to show off. Like,
okay. Oh, right. Debug ETH contract. There's a second one.
Yeah.
You got it.
So yeah, I have created this independent component, right? That we can just import it in our React application and then just use it and all these things, right? So I have created a demo example for it. So it's like a basic standalone React component, right? A React simple example where I have imported all these things, right? 2 contracts, the same computers, but you can see the UI. When we pass these values, right, to the contract, it's like the contract name and our contract instance. So it will automatically adapt to all this, right? All the whatever the values contract have, or the variables, the dictionary array values, and the methods we have to change and all this thing. So yeah, so I also have implemented that this address feature, right? So if you see, yeah, it will automatically fetch the address, right? The whatever
ENS resolution. Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And alongside, I have added one extra feature to show the output, right? So whatever we adding, so suppose I have to get an array, right? If I fetch it, it will show the whatever hash string and all this, right, as an output field here. So
We
yeah.
need to do better at that on the master branch of scaffold-eth. I'm pretty sure there's definitely been some calls that I make with the contract object that just gives me back the classic, like in square braces object, and then I get nothing.
Yeah.
I think this would be really cool if we started parsing some of that in our contract
So
object.
it will parse all the data, hash data and all this, and it will show up all this here. Suppose if I say some output here, right? So we'll call it done. We show or whatever output we have done set, right? We'll get the hash, the transaction hash and all this thing. Yeah, we will get all this data here. You just quickly debug and all this thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to add this into ours. How about a PR back to the master branch to get some of this stuff into the contract object?
Yeah.
The interesting thing here is so one of the thoughts was, let's make the contract object npm installable. Everyone uses the contract object. We've seen it in ABI Ninja, or a better version in ABI Ninja earlier. People use it all the time with the master branch, but it'd be nice if you could grab any project and just npm install this contract object to have this nice debug. What I didn't realize is you would have to rebuild the front end part, the UI stuff, because we have a UI framework in scaffold-eth, but not everyone is going to have that same UI framework. So I guess like one of the probably the hardest parts of this build for you was just like building out all this UI. Is that right?
Yeah. Right.
It's hard to make UI agnostic and still look good. That's definitely a trick we'll battle with.
Yeah.
Awesome build. Awesome build. Great stuff. So
yeah.
Someone can npm install debug eth contract. Is that right?
Yes.
Nice.
You can simply run this command, right? Yeah. Debug eth contract.
Yep. Awesome. We'll have to try that out. Maybe, I don't know if maybe we could pull this into, so are you at all working on the like scaffold-eth 2.0 project? There's definitely like a scaffold-eth 2.0 that's in the works that uses TypeScript and Next.js and Foundry and WagMe. Yeah. I feel like we could just do an npm install of this and have this as part of that branch, and that would be like a good kind of out of the box thing to have.
Right.
We'll have to figure that out.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Anything else? Anybody else have anything else to share? Any last scaffold-eth builds? My neighbor just brought me some cucumbers. Check that out. Wow. Just got neighbors dropping off cucumbers. All right. Happy Bowtie Friday. Thanks for coming along. Keep building with scaffold-eth. Keep building cool things. Check out the Build Guild. Check out SpeedRunEthereum. Keep building ugly prototypes, and one day you will have a finely polished product after years of scraping off the corners and rough edges. Thank you all for showing up. Happy Bowtie Friday. Hearts, hearts, hearts. See you next time.
Thank you.